let's talk about sergers. Now, sergers are an excellent tool for anyone who sews. It's kind of the next step after you've gotten a handle on your sewing machine. Sergers are used on all professional garments. If you look at anything, even a t-shirt, your seams have been serged. That's what it means when your seams are encased in thread like this. So a serger is a great next step if you want your costumes to start looking a little more professional. Now, sergers can be a little intimidating. Just as a note, they're also called overlock machines. So serger, overlock machine, same thing. And there's a pretty intense price range on sergers. The cheapest ones you can find on Amazon for about $175 or $200. And then you can go to town on a serger and get up to like $10,000 if you're feeling cuckoo for Cocoa Poofs. So this is my serger, and it was about $300, so kind of a little bit higher than those ones you can get on Amazon. Let me talk about that range, what you're buying, depending on how much you spend on a serger. When you're getting the lowest of the low, that $175 range, you're getting a machine that will work most of the time. You've lost any kind of convenience. It's going to be the most difficult to thread. It's going to give you the most amount of issues. It's going to be the least reliable, but it'll work. It just might drive you crazy while doing it. I once, when my machine was in for service, I borrowed a friend's machine and she had one of those, and I just remember thinking, wow, this is harder to use than mine. They're just kind of annoying. So as you move up, you get a little more durable, a little smoother, a little quieter, though I will warn you, all sergers are very loud. I've got mine sitting on top of some of this on my desk. This is shelf grip, because it's very loud and very bouncy, and without this, it'll rattle itself off my desk. And that's just kind of a serger thing. You have to get pretty expensive to get sergers that aren't loud and rattly. But as you get more and more expensive, what you'll gain is more convenience, more ease of use. For example, let me show you how this serger is threaded. Let's come in closer. Pop open this compartment right here. Zoom on in. Whoop, gotta get the angle right. There it is. Now there's a lot going on in there. And he's kind of a beast to thread. Changing the thread color in my serger is a process. It takes a very long time, and it's not something I do very often. Usually I gotta really want it if I want to change my thread. And if you buy a more expensive machine, you can buy sergers that will thread themselves, which is incredibly helpful. Those sergers will just also be more durable. Like I said, the serger is a very violent machine, bounces a lot. So the more durable, the longer it will last. So mine is actually still a pretty cheap serger. I'd love to upgrade it. It works better than the $200 ones, but it does still, the thread, it will come unthreaded, or the tension will be off and the thread will break and I'll have to rethread the whole thing. So it is not necessarily a machine of convenience, but it is priceless for a lot of the things I work on. If you're going to work with stretchy material, you can do an overlock seam instead of a zigzag seam. They look much nicer and stretch much better. So if you're making like a spandex bodysuit or something, a serger's going to be priceless. Most sergers can also do a rolled hem, which is a nice finish on the end of a garment. Sergers are also great to prevent fraying because you've overlocked that seam and now it won't fray. I love using it with organza when I make petticoats. One thing I highly recommend about a serger is because they are so finicky, I strongly recommend that you buy yours from an actual store and not online, so that that store can give you support. The store where I bought my machine is always where I go first if something's wrong. If I'm like, the thread keeps breaking, what's going on? They can tell me, oh, you've just got this lever a little bit too low, and they fix it. Whereas if I had purchased it online, I would have been like, my machine is broken. I give up. So it is really nice to have that local support. Plus, they'll just be able to tell you things like where to oil it, how often to get it serviced, where you can buy spare parts, and that's really been invaluable to me to have that resource so close and readily available. It is important to regularly clean and oil your serger, as it has even more moving parts than a sewing machine, and you're going to want to make sure to get any dust and dirt out of there and keep it oiled so that it keeps running smoothly. Sergers are an excellent tool though, and I highly recommend one if you're serious as a sewer. They're not too expensive. You can get a decent one for around $300. I'd love to upgrade one to one that's closer to about $1,000 someday, but sewing machine was first priority, and that kind of broke my bank, this guy right here. So until I recover from my sewing machine purchase, I'll stick with this one. He's been a faithful friend. I've only had to get him serviced once, and I love, love, love having a serger. It definitely causes some frustration, but in the most part, sergers lead to some very happy crafting. Sergers are good. You should get one.